Recording.
All right. Hello, everyone. My name is Brad McMullen. I am the Folklife Specialist here at the Nevada Arts Council, and I am joined by our Grants and Project Analyst, Stephanie Montgomery, here to talk today, whenever today is, whether you're joining us or in person or watching this webinar later, about the grants offered by the Folklife program area here at the Nevada Arts Council. Start off before I let Stephanie talk about general grant process stuff. Just give a brief rundown of what counts as folklife, or as it's also known, folk and traditional arts. My program area covers funding, documentation for what we can call the culturally specific arts. So on this, slide, we got a picture of a Danza Azteca group, Hawaiian traditional fashion, some Shoshone and Paiute tribal members up in Elko doing some traditional arts at the Elko Band Community Center, as well as I believe the Morelense dancers taking a picture here in Vegas. So it's any kind of art form that is specific to your cultural community, whether that is a cultural community that's ethnic in nature, as these groups are, or occupational, cowboy poetry, other things like that, or just others, communities of affinity. The arts that are specific and meaningful to those cultures are what is available to get funding through the Folklife grants. And I'll let Stephanie take it to there. Well, there's our contact information. I can do that. Stephanie's contact information's up top. Mine's at the bottom. Stephanie is based up in our Reno office, and I am down in our Las Vegas office.
Thanks so much, Brad. My name is Stephanie Montgomery. I'm the Grants and Project Analyst, as Brad said, up in the Reno office, but actually Brad and I both in our program areas cover the whole state right now. So please don't hesitate to reach out with that contact info if you have any questions following this webinar. And I'll just say that we do have webinars up on our YouTube for our other program areas right now for this upcoming fiscal year. And this recording will also be added to our YouTube as a reference to you. Okay. So we're going to start off with some key information on the grants and awards that we are covering today for the Folklife area. So this first part is just kind of a comparison to get you thinking across these different grants and awards, to kind of feel out what might be a good fit for your application process. So we're going to compare first the Folklife Artist Grant and the Folklife Community Grant, just key information on both of those grants. You'll notice that both are on a rolling deadline, meaning that they are open during our fiscal year, which runs from July 1, 2025 to June 30th, 2026 for the FY26 fiscal year. So their applications are due 30 days before your project begins. So there's not a specific due date or time. It depends on when your project starts. We leave these applications open and accepting your submissions until we run out of funding in the fiscal year. So it never hurts to check in and see if the application's still open. Reach out to us, as we'll talk about. You are required to reach out and talk to Brad before even applying. The Folklife Artist Grant is up to $3,000 with no match required. It's open to individuals, so that's a key distinction. In this case, that means a Nevada resident for 1 year prior to the date of application, 21 years or older, and non-student. The Folklife Artist Grant can be used for artists working in collaboration for informal groups. We'll talk about that a little bit more, what that means. But compare it to the Folklife Artist Grant, which is up to $5,000 with no one-to-one cash or in-kind match required unless you are a nonprofit organization with an annual budget over $50,000. That is a new update this year. So those eligible applicants would be Nevada Incorporated, meaning incorporated with the Nevada Secretary of State, 501c3 nonprofits, arts organizations. So those are the differences across eligible applicants. One, the Folklife Artist Grant is geared towards individuals and individual artists working in collaboration. Folklife Community Grant is for those nonprofit organizations. The Folklife Artist Grant, in terms of its intent, and again, this is new this year, we'll talk more about this, but includes not only learning focus, but this year presentation focused traditional arts projects taking place during that fiscal year. The Folklife Community Grant is intended to support transmission or presentation of traditional arts projects. And because you are an organization, in addition to being incorporated with the Nevada Secretary of State, being in good standing with the IRS, it's a 501c3. You also must have your unique entity identifier from stam.gov. If you are familiar with it, that replaced the DUNS number. It just has to be assigned. It doesn't have to be active, but it does have to be assigned at the time of application. Okay. The award that we are discussing today alongside these two grants is the Nevada Heritage Fellowship. Again, we'll talk about the differences between a grant and award as we describe the specifics of each of these programs as in later on in the presentation. This one does have a specific due date and time, unlike the other Folklife grants. This award application is due by May 1st, 2025 by 5 p.m. sharp. It is up to $5,000, no match required. Open to individuals, again, with those same stipulations about residency, age, and student status. And it is an honorarium recognizing tradition bearers in Nevada. So you'll notice that it is not related to a project. And we will talk a little bit about what that means. And I'll just note that, like the Folklife Artist Grant, the Nevada Heritage Fellowship is actually open to collaborative groups as well. This is a distinguishing factor compared to our other fellowship, which is only open to individuals presenting their own work. So a key thing to be thinking about in the application process, we do have those informal groups applying for the Nevada Heritage Fellowship. Just a little bird's eye view if you wanted to take a screenshot, or I'm happy to share this with you. If you are affiliated with an organization that's going to apply to any of our grants, this is a little breakdown of what's coming up in the fiscal year. And although we are only covering the Folklife grants and award this session, please feel free to reach out if you have questions about any of these other programs. For those organizations that are applying, it can be crucial to know what you can combine together because there are restrictions in doing so. Again, this is just a little information for you to think about. If you are applying for one grant, what else you can combine it with, and then the total possible award amount of those grants combined. There is special consideration for our operating support grant, which is only open to arts organizations in Nevada that have that in their mission statement. Those grant request levels can vary based on your annual revenue. And if you have any interest in that, I would really encourage you to go watch our webinar on YouTube from our community arts development specialists. They talk specifically about the project grant for organizations and the operating support grant. So if you are an arts organization in Nevada with at least $10,000 in annual revenue, it's a really big opportunity to potentially get some funding for operating support costs in particular. But all of these grants are worth considering depending on your mission and the size of your organization. Finally, just one more for the individual grants. So again, please take a screenshot or reach out to me if you'd like this information. If you're an individual artist, if you are a Folklife artist, you can also apply to our other individual grants. So just keep this in mind, especially if you have that teaching experience, which I feel like a lot of our folk artists might. It's not a bad idea to think about the teaching artist roster, which gives you access to the Arts Learning Express grants as well. We do have folk artists on the roster and applying for those grants regularly. And we did just do an arts learning webinar yesterday, which will also be on our YouTube soon. So just keep that entire spectrum of grants and opportunities in mind. Even if you consider yourself a folk artist, there's more available to you as well. Okay. So, because the Folklife Artist Grant and Nevada Heritage Fellowship have that kind of individual eligibility as opposed to the organizational community grant, just a little side-by-side comparison of their distinguishing features. If you're an individual artist, which one should you be applying to? So in both cases, you need to talk to Brad first. You need to have a conversation with Brad about the type of art that you do, if it would qualify as folk art before proceeding. You'll notice that the eligibility requirements for individuals, residency, age, student status, are the same for both the Folklife Artist Grant and Nevada Heritage Fellowship. But the really key difference is that there is no project required for the Nevada Heritage Fellowship. So when you are applying for that award, um, be careful that you are not writing it as a project-based application. So please do not write that you need the funding for a certain project. Really, this is about your body of work across your career as an artist because it is an honorarium. It's about recognizing you as a folk artist in your, particular field. So those funds, if you're awarded for the Nevada Heritage Fellowship, they do not need to be used for specific expenses or projects. It's very different than our grants. That is why it is an award. Those applications for the fellowship are evaluated by panel review based on artistic excellence within your tradition, the artist's significance within your tradition, and artistic impact or contribution to living cultural heritage. So that is a panel reviewed award. Compare that to the Folklife Artist Grant, which is internally reviewed, based again on artistic excellence of participating folk artists and artistic merit of the project as it relates to the cultural community represented. You do have to use the funding on relevant project expenses. So again, this is a really distinguishing feature. It is a project-based grant, but you can spend it on a number of things, including artist fees for the applicant, collaborating artists or production artists, facility costs, permanent equipment up to $500, consumables, production costs and materials, marketing and promotion, and travel for accommodation and transportation only, unfortunately, not for food and drink or per diem. So you can kind of see the Folklife Artist Grant is for if you are working on a specific project for which you are seeking funding. The Nevada Heritage Fellowship is for when you have reached a particular moment in your artistic trajectory and you have a quality body of work that you wish to submit to reviewers. And if you are awarded the fellowship, it is about recognizing you as a folk artist. So just some examples again, just to get clarity on, what is an appropriate application for each of these programs. So for the Folklife Artist Grant, again, this is to support traditional arts projects by folk artists and culture bearers. They can be learning focused or presentation focused projects. And those funds should be used for discrete costs that are related to the project only. So for example, materials and supplies or artist fees for those participating traditional artists. So an example might be something like a rawhide braiding apprenticeship, materials for that, artist fees for that, travel to museums to study ancestral baskets. And I'm sure Brad will talk about this because we have also included cultural reclamation in this fiscal year for the Folklife Artist Grant. A community dance festival, that would be a more presentation focused application. So that's for the Folklife Artist Grant. Now for Folklife Community, in which nonprofits would be applying for funding for a project. Again, that is to support programs with folk artists and culture bearers presented by small community organizations, those nonprofits. Eligible projects can include things such as festivals, cultural events, concerts, gatherings, with the intent to bring traditional artists, cultural specialists, and communities together. So an example of a potential use of those funds would be renting a facility space for an event or marketing and promotion for an event. Examples of projects might be something like a Lunar New Year celebration, powwow, quilting bee. Those are the kinds of events bringing people together in community to transmit and experience those traditional arts. Now, the National Heritage Fellowship, once again, is about recognition of tradition bearers living in Nevada, whose body of work has contributed to Nevada's traditional arts heritage. There is no project required to receive the award. It is about your body of work. So an example of applicants that might think about applying for the Nevada Heritage Fellowship would be so for example, a master saddle maker, a master basket weaver, a master drummer, someone who has reached a certain point in their artistic career and has a large quality body of work to submit to panelists for review. Okay, so I'm going to pass it off to Brad now to talk about the Folklife Artist Grant, the kind of intent of it, just to get a little more clarity on what this program is intended for.
Thank you, Stephanie, for that overview. So the first grant is the Folklife Artist Grant. If you're coming to Nevada from another state, most of my fellow state folklorists offer apprenticeship grants. So this is our spin on that in Nevada, but it's much broader. So once again, this grant, it's up to $3,000 in financial support, is for projects happening between July 1st, 2025 and June 30th, 2026. It supports traditional arts projects by folk artists and culture bearers, and projects should focus on the transmission of folk arts or traditions being practiced, valued, and shared within the culturally specific communities in Nevada. So, I mentioned the apprenticeship grants most other states have. This grant can be used for apprenticeships. A master artist wanting to take someone under their wing and have funds to supplement their time, their apprentice's time, pay for resources, pay for travel, to get really that detailed one-on-one learning that usually is a staple of traditional arts. But it's also for, more dispersed mentorships, group learning classes, because there's many traditions here in Nevada that aren't a one-on-one apprenticeship model. You'd more teach the whole community, especially in the early stages of people learning the tradition. Cultural reclamation is also something that's just been added specifically to this grant for eligibility. So cultural reclamation is particular to our indigenous communities here in Nevada, but can be applied to any. If there is a tradition that is no longer practiced in your community here in Nevada, but there are experts, whether in, somewhere not your community, say there's a Shoshone, one of the Shoshone tribes here in Nevada, they're in their colony, weaving's died out. They can go to another Shoshone community or a Paiute community and learn their weaving styles to reintegrate it back into their traditions. Go to the various museums that might have ancestral collections of weaving, ceramics, any of the various traditions practiced historically, and study those materials in order to bring it back to their community, because it's not that the community didn't value this tradition, it died out because of outside forces. So encouraging people to reclaim those heritage traditions that are no longer practiced. Additionally, we've brought in this Folklife Artist Grant out to also include presentation-focused activities, because sometimes these art forms are based in community. There might be, you don't necessarily have to do some kind of teaching activity. There's just times that you want to share the tradition with the community. So exhibits of traditional artists in your community, performance times for music genre, traditional dance presentations, concerts, festivals, any kind of activity being organized by an individual that highlights and centers the folk and traditional arts here in Nevada is eligible for this grant. Especially this change is also motivated, there's the word, by my experiences finding there's a lot of individuals doing kind of in traditional communities here, doing the work an entire nonprofit might do, and just these loose community groups. And kind of going along with that, we mentioned, collaborative efforts. Many times there is, a band or a dance group that is just kind of has one or individual doing a lot of the bureaucracy, but they're not an official group. A Folklife Artist Grant can be used to support your efforts, whether that's training, doing community presentations, doing community concerts, all that stuff, as long as it's an individual, falls under the Folklife Artist Grant. And once again, the grant funds can be used for artist fees, so paying you for your time, since we realize by teaching or doing these presentations, you are taking your time away from making money, whether that's through producing material art to sell or your day job, as well as paying collaborating artists, paying production specialists if you're doing an event, facility costs, permanent equipment up to $500, consumable materials and supplies, production costs, marketing and promotion, especially if you're doing an event, and travel, particularly the accommodation and transportation. Thanks to federal and state guidelines, we cannot pay for food. And next slide. So once again, the eligibility, you have to, basically the first step for the Folklife grants is to talk to me. Part of the reason for that is because Folklife is, I talked about culturally specific arts. It's more of a lens that we look at arts and the way arts are practiced. So just to make sure that your what your artistic practice is falls under that umbrella, start by talking to me so I can help guide you and we can make sure you're applying for the right grant. You have to be a member of the community where the arts are being presented and demonstrate a deep knowledge of the artistic practices and associated cultural traditions that will be taught. Part of what makes something folk arts is that you are thoroughly enmeshed in which the community of the arts are being practiced. And we want to reward people who have put in the time and effort to be present in their communities and who are dedicated to sharing these artistic traditions and cultural practices and making sure they're perpetuated for for future generations. Have to be a US citizen or have legal permanent resident status. You have to be at least 21 years old. You can't be a degree-seeking student in a field related to the type of grant for which you're applying. So if you are a dancer and you're, traditional dancing, traditional dance style for your community, you can't be a dance student at one of our colleges. But if you're in some other program, you could be able to apply for your dance practice as long as it's not related to your degree. And then you also have to be a current resident and been in residence for at least 1 year prior to the date of the application. When you, oh,
I think I was gonna jump in
oh
here
yeah,
partially for this one, Brad, but actually if we could tag team it because I
yeah,
mostly wanted to just jump in and talk a little bit about quickly about the proof of residency. Surprisingly, it does trip some folks up. Really, the easiest way is if you have a current Nevada ID to upload that to your application. If it was issued less than a year prior, you can actually just use your previous ID, even if it's voided out. The combination of those two helps us to see your proof of residency. And of course, that's also how we verify your age. So that's the fastest, quickest way. So I did just want to say that. And then maybe you wanted to share more about the application, Brad, I'm sure.
yeah. Thank you, Stephanie. Yeah, and then when you apply, there's going to be some narrative questions. A lot of it I'm going to cover in our initial phone call to help, prime the pump for you to write the grant application. But I'm going to want to know about the art form, what role it plays in your community, what the community is, those kinds of details. I'm going to want to know, more details about the project, if it's a one-on-one apprenticeship, what are you specifically hoping to teach this person? What are you, if you're the apprentice, I guess that's an important caveat. You can also apply as an apprentice to learn from a master artist, whether or not they are here in Nevada or in another community, especially since so many of our, tribal communities, but other communities, Nevada is a big border state. So sometimes the person who's best suited to teach you is right across the border. So this way an apprentice can learn and bring that art form back to their community. What are you hoping to learn? What skills will be taught? What are the objectives? Those kinds of details. So we know, what will make your project a success. And then just specifying, this is a one-on-one apprenticeship, this is more of a group class situation, or this is kind of a community event, some details specifically related to that. We'll need to know the budget. Where are you hoping to spend the money? How are you going to spend it? Are there any outside funds? We just want to make sure the project is set up for success, and having those details is our way of making sure that is the case. There will be a budget table right in submittable for you to submit. And if you have questions, you're welcome to reach out. We'll want to see some work samples. Both of, if you're, a teacher applying, we want to be able to see your work, see what you're doing. If you're applying with an apprentice, we want to see the apprentice's work as well, so we can see where they are in their journey and why you chose them. Or if it's a community event, we'll also want other collaborating artists to see sample of their work. One thing that is more unique to the Folklife grants, because they are community specific, culturally specific art forms, we want to see letters of community support. So what that means is, if you're a master artist taking an apprentice, I'd love to see some letters from your previous apprentices. Other community organizations talking about why, you're the right person for this role, what role the art form fills in your community, all these kinds of details that prove that you and the art form are enmeshed in the community, because that is what's crucial and central to folk and traditional arts. So I just want to get that sense of how you are enmeshed in the community and what role your art form plays in it. And then you're welcome to submit additional support material, especially if you're doing some kind of event. How are you planning on marketing? What's some examples of that? If it's a teaching thing, are you doing evaluation? What's that going to look like? If you're hiring other artists, contracts, letters of agreement, letting us know that yes, they are signed on for this, provided, funding is approved. And then the review criteria, since this one is on a rolling basis, it is reviewed internally by Stephanie and I. Once again, first step is you talk to me, and I am going to go over all the things you need to make sure you have, so you are all set. Once it gets submitted, it will review it for completeness and adherence to the program requirements. We'll once again review that you are indeed eligible with, 1 year, not a degree seeking student, etc. And use, the work samples, the letters of support, what you wrote, to determine that you are demonstrating artistic excellence, and that our program has merit. And a lot of this, at least for my part, is screened in the initial conversation. And the second grant I have is the Folklife Community Grant. This one has also changed from previous years, if you are familiar with it. The biggest change here is the amount and eligibility. So previously it was $3,000. Now we can award up to $5,000. And previously the eligibility was for nonprofit organizations with annual budgets of less than $30,000. That number has not particularly kept up with times and inflation. So we have gotten rid of the budget limit, but in order to provide extra assistance to our smaller nonprofits, we made it so they don't have to match the award amount. So the way to think about it, if you're a small nonprofit with a budget of less than $50,000, you can get up to $5,000 to support your event without any kind of additional strings or match required by your organization. But if you want to, you are welcome to. However, for a larger organization, or say a community organization that's primarily dedicated to social service offerings, but would like to do a community specific arts event featuring their community's art forms, we're just going to ask you to match the money we are offering, whether that is directly with cash from reserves, from other sources, or in kind. I know most of these organizations require volunteer hours, or donations of space, all that kind of stuff. All of that is in kind. You're welcome to ask Stephanie questions about how to account for all that, because that is her world, not mine. But you can count your volunteer hours as in kind. There's details and information about that to help you reach, whatever amount we are giving you to match that for your efforts. Same time period of support, July 1st of this year through June 30th of next year. And it supports programs with folk artists and culture bearers presented by small community organizations. Eligible projects focus on the transmission or presentation of folk arts or traditions that are practiced, valued, and shared within culturally specific communities here in Nevada. So similar to the Folklife Artist Grant, if your organization wants to, say, do a community class where you're putting together a group of quilters to swap information on different quilting styles, you could use this to fund that. You can do, a community concert night where you're showing community specific music. Any kind of thing that is in support of your community's artistic traditions is something that can be supported by this grant. It's also another way that, say, there's an expert from over in California, over in Utah for, some art form your community practices. You can use this grant to bring them to your community, and teach your community members about that art and help them deepen their artistic practice. And eligible projects include things like festivals, cultural event, concerts, anything that brings traditional artists, cultural specialists, and communities together is something that can be supported through the Folklife Community Grant.
And I was just going to jump in here for a second too, since you mentioned that, what exactly is an in-kind match, Brad? To say a little bit about that, and then also to emphasize the time period of support, since I don't think we did with the Folklife Artist Grant. So with the one-to-one cash or in-kind match that is required for those nonprofit organizations that have annual budgets over $50,000 a year. What that means is that for whatever amount you are requesting from us, which can be up to $5,000, whatever it is that you need for your project, you just have to show that you are matching that either with some kind of cash. So whether that is from donations, whether you are fundraising for the project, and those are, kind of cash donations. It can also be private support, right, from your organization. Maybe, as Brad said, you have reserves of some kind. So you can match that grant request, say it's $5,000. You can match that with $5,000 cash. That's fine. You would put that in your project budget. You would put that in your income section, because that's real income, right? That's real cash. Just like our grant is income, it's cash. So you would put that in your income section. Now, if you are going to meet that instead with in-kind donations, or maybe a combination, right, of cash and in-kind donations, you also want to put that in your budget. And you also want to keep track of it, just like you would keep track of real cash. Brad gave the example of volunteer hours. Right now, the going rate nationally for hourly wages for volunteers is it's calculated at about $33 per hour. So what that essentially means for in-kind is that when you get something that is donated, whether that is someone's time, whether that is a space, or whether that is consumable materials and supplies, equipment, any of those things, they all have a value attached to them, even though they are not actual cash. So you cannot use in kind to cover cash expenses because it's not real money, but it does have a value that it contributes to your project. And so there is a section in the full project budget in the application called in kind. It's pre-populated with a couple of pretty common in-kind fields, volunteer hours, donated facility or space, donated materials and supplies, that sort of thing. Just calculate the value out of those donations, put it in the in-kind section, and keep careful track of that. If you have volunteers, keep a volunteer log. If you got a donated facility or space, get an invoice from that location that shares what that value would have been. If you're claiming donated materials and supplies, look up online how much they're worth. Keep that documentation should you need it. It's not impossible that you might for your final report or in the case of an audit, which is a regular and normal part of the grant process. So that's just a little bit about what that means. I know that the cash or in-kind match can be a little bit confusing for folks, as Brad was saying, and at any time you can reach out to me, we can talk about it. I can actually see your submittable application as you're filling it out, so it's very helpful to see where you're at in your budget. And I was just going to say with the time period of support, because I realized, we mentioned it with the Folklife Artist Grant, and we mentioned the fiscal year, but just to really emphasize, you should be applying for projects that take place within that time period of support. So anytime between July 1 of this year and June 30th of 2026 is when your activities can take place. You can plan outside of that. We understand that sometimes there's some planning, there's some setup, there's some booking that maybe happens before that. But those grant funded project activities in particular, when you are going to be incurring and spending that money, incurring those expenses and spending that money, it needs to be within that time period of support. So that's really critical. And Brad will also talk to you about that, when you speak to him. But just to emphasize that when you're planning and when you're thinking to apply, make sure it's in that window. Okay.
Thank you, Stephanie. Once again, for eligibility, first step is talk to me so we can talk it over. And I'm pretty much going to ask you what questions are on the grant form. So you are ready to go to apply. That way I can make sure you're ready to go and make the process as pleasant for all of us as we can. Once again, your organization has to be based here in Nevada. Registered, eligible tax exempt status under the 501c3. Had some times where unfortunately status has gone lapsed. So that just need to make sure that that is good and ready to go before we can provide you with the funding. You have to be incorporated with the Nevada Secretary of State. You have to be in good standing. You got to have a federal employer identification number and the unique identity ID from SAM. As Stephanie said, doesn't have to be active. You just have to have one. And then similar questions as the Folklife Artist. Going to ask, what are the details of your project? What are you hoping to do? What are your objectives? Who is involved in making the project a success? Who are the artists that are going to be involved? Similarly, what's the cultural community? What role does this play in the community? We'll want to see work samples from the artists so we can see how it relates to what you're doing. Once again, letters of community support, talking about why, your event is important for the community, what role it plays in the community, why these arts are important, why the artist important, just building the case for why this deserves funding and why this is important to your community. And I know I've seen people get stressed out about this. This is just to help demonstrate the passion for the people you're supporting. So this, can be from a board member. It can be from a previous participant. It can just be from a community member who really thinks this is important and is jazzed that you do this event every year, or that you're trying something new and just wants to share their passion in support of your organization. Because ultimately, this is all public funding. This is, grant funds coming from the government. We're repurposing the people's money back in support of the people's arts. So demonstrating the passion in the community helps make that case that this is important and this is valued, and that is why it deserves support. There's a budget where you'll put in, your expenses, especially if you're over that 50,000, we'll ask you to put in your income, your in-kind, so we can see that you're matching the money, and then additional support material. So just like Folklife Artists, How are you going to market the event? How have you marketed in the past? If you're doing, what evaluation are you doing? How will you know that people learned what they wanted to learn, you wanted them to learn, or how did they enjoyed the event? You have agreements with artists that's all lined up. Information about your organization that you want to share, printed materials. Last year's program is a great kind of thing to include in this additional support material. And then once again, the review criteria, you're going to talk to me first. I am going to ask you most of the questions I need to know to make my decision, and then you'll put it into paper. At which point Stephanie will review it to make sure that I didn't make a mistake and that your project is indeed eligible in the grander bureaucratic scheme of things. And that, you adhere to the program requirements, that, the organization has met the eligibility requirements for establishment here in Nevada, your UEI number, all those things bureaucratically that need to be done. And then once again, I will review it that you have demonstrated the artistic excellence of the folk artists involved, establishing the artistic merit of the project. So once again, that's me looking at those letters of support, looking at those work samples, making sure, the artists involved, the work samples are for the art forms that are featured at the event. Because sometimes, a lot of traditional artists have a large variety of arts they do. So don't submit some other art practice they do. Submit the one that's relevant to the event. So if you're doing a weaving workshop, submit examples of weaving from the artists who will be teaching or who will be featured in the exhibit. Don't submit an example of their quilting or their beadwork or their dance skills, because that's not relevant to the project in question. And once again, if you got any questions, we're here to talk. Next slide. And then the final funding opportunity, our award, as opposed to the grant, is the Nevada Heritage Fellowship. So if you're familiar with the National Endowment for the Arts National Heritage Fellowship, the Nevada Heritage Fellowship is our state's version of that. It's also, if you're familiar with Artist Services, Nevada Arts Fellowship. I can't remember the name. I think I got that wrong. Go watch their webinar if you want that information. It's the folk and traditional arts equivalent of that.
So Artist Fellowship Award.
Artist Fellowship. I was overcomplicating things. That's not something I do a lot. So the Nevada Heritage Fellowship is for recognizing our state's outstanding tradition bearers. There's people in communities all around Nevada that really are kind of the exemplars of their culture, the bastions of tradition, that are practicing, the traditional heritage of their community. And so this award is intended to recognize their commitment over time to their stewardship towards their, sharing of their community's culture, not just within their community, but with Nevada as a whole, because part of what makes our state so wonderful is this patchwork of cultures. We've got the Basques, Los Bascos up in the north. We've got indigenous communities, the West Side and the African-American community here in Las Vegas, large Latino communities, there's a growing Mongolian population down here in Las Vegas, all these different cultures, whether it's ethnic or, how miners are a big part of the state and their culture, as well as cowboys, up in Elko, just got back from National Cowboy Poetry Gathering. We got ski bums in Tahoe. That's also, an occupational group with its own cultures and traditions. So we're looking for the people who embody that culture's art forms and traditional practices and pass those down to the next generation in that community, and want to reward them for that time and effort. So we're $5,000. It's due on May 1st, 2025 by 5 p.m. That 5 p.m. is very important. Normally, time doesn't matter when you're on a rolling deadline. It does matter for this one. So get it in by 4, because you never know what your computer is going to do. And it, once again, recognizes the tradition bearers here in the state of Nevada, for contributing to Nevada's traditional arts heritage. It is just an honorarium. You might have a project you're working on that you want this money to go towards. We don't care about that. We care about the work you've already done and are recognizing you for that. And if this spurs new work, great. Not what we're looking for. And we just want to acknowledge the fact that you have put in the time, have put in the effort to perpetuate your community's traditions, whatever that looks like for your community. So once again, what we're looking for, I've used this term tradition bearer. If you want my thoughts on that in length, I wrote a blog post about it. You can find it on our website. But for the purposes of the Heritage Fellowship, how we're defining tradition bearer is someone who is actively perpetuating and disseminating their community's traditions and traditional artistic practices. So unfortunately, we're not looking for someone who's kind of retired. We want someone who's still involved in producing art, producing stories, shepherding these traditions in their community. We want someone who learned their community's traditions through active engagement with the community. So often what folk arts is about is this kind of chain of learning that who did you learn from? Who taught you? And then who are you teaching? It's, communities are all about how we're interconnected and no one stands alone. So that's what we want to see for our Heritage Fellows, that they are connected to their community, both the past and the future of the community, and also that they are practicing their tradition within the community, that this is something that's being produced for the community because the community values it. Once again, the applicant has to be a current Nevada resident who's been here for at least a year. I'll just echo Stephanie. The easiest way to do this, send in your driver's license. If your driver's license is more than a year old, you are good with just one driver's license picture. If your driver's license is less than a year old, also take a picture of your old driver's license. And then you're good with just those two pictures, or, with the right framing, one picture can show both. Have to be a U.S. citizen or legal permanent resident, have to be at least 21, can't be enrolled as a degree-seeking student in a field related to your art form. So once again, if you're a dancer, you can't be an enrolled dance student, but you could be any other kind of student. Same with music, etc., visual arts, all those kinds of things. You have to be actively practicing. Once again, we want people who are still contributing to the body of work. Unlike the Artist Fellowship, we are open to collaborative groups for the Heritage Fellowship. So oftentimes these are, community dance group. That's not one single person. It's a community of practice within the community. So whether it's, a community dance group, a drum circle, a band, any of these kinds of collaborative groups that are specific to your cultural group, that is just as eligible as an individual performer. And you can apply as that collective. You just have to be clear in the application. If you have questions, once again, talk to Stephanie or I. You can only receive 2 Heritage Fellowships from the Arts Council over the course of your career. So after you've got 2, you have received your maximum amount of recognition and support, because we want to share it around the state. And you may only apply for 1 fellowship per year. So the Artist Fellowship and Artist Services, they break things up based on artistic tradition. This year is the Literary and Performing Arts. So if you're in a literary performing art, you can apply for that this year, and next year apply for a Heritage Fellowship because your art form is a traditional literary art or a traditional performing art. And then vice versa. Next year for the Artist Fellowship will be the visual arts. So a basket weaver or a beater could apply next year for the Artist Fellowship and this year for the Heritage Fellowship. You can't apply for both in the same year, though. Once again, just to make sure that we can recognize as many artists as possible and recognize the full depth and breadth of artistic excellence that's happening around the Silver State. If what we're going to want to see for this, once again, ID and proof of residency. Send us your driver's license or your state ID if you don't drive. State IDs also work. Not everyone drives, so state ID is also acceptable as long as it's over a year old, or if it's less than a year old, include the old one next to it. And then we're going to want an artist statement. So one thing about how the Heritage Fellowship, the fellowships are reviewed, is they are reviewed anonymously. So we want to hear you describe what your tradition is, what you've contributed to it and why it deserves recognition. It should center around you. Feel free to use I statements and me statements. Talk about, how you got into your tradition, what it means to you, what it means to your community, what you've brought to it. You can talk about the people you've taught and the things they've done, because that demonstrates that depth of community engagement that is central to folk and traditional arts. We'll also ask you to provide at least 5 and no more than 10 work samples of your work. So we can see, yeah, you are as great as you say you are. And then to go along with that, we give you a space to do artistic work sample descriptions. So that's another chance to just go more depth and detail about your art form, what it is you do, how you do it, and what it means to you, because that's the kind of things we want to see from our fellow. The Folklife Artist Grant and the Folklife Community Grant are both, once again, it's an internal review by Stephanie and I determining how those funds are spent. This one is not. The Heritage Fellowship, it's a panel review process. So there will be panelists reviewing your application anonymously. So the applications, they don't know who you are, and they are going to be evaluating what you submit based on how you demonstrate your excellence within the tradition, your significance within your tradition. So excellence is just how good you are. But if you're just kind of a lone genius, not impacting anyone, you can get 10 points there. But the significance is looking at things like, who did you teach? Who did you learn from? How did you enrich your community with your art form? And then once another 10 points for your evidence of impact and contribution to, your community's cultural heritage, and how you've perpetuated your tradition and kept your culture vibrant.
So I think that's everything we have. This is just a little plug for our in-person workshops. You can scan the QR code. Please share if there's anyone in these communities or you are in one of these communities and would like to see us in person. Obviously, we've completed a number of them, but we've still got a couple up north tomorrow and Friday, and then a whole bunch down south the following week. So yeah, I'll leave this up for a few minutes, but since that's all we have, we can move into Q&A if anybody, if our participant has any questions. You can raise your hand and we can unmute you, or you can type something in the Q&A, or you can reach out, after this with just an email. Anything is fine. I know it's a lot of information at once. Here, I'm going to go ahead and unmute you. Let's see, allow to talk. Okay, you should be able to unmute yourself and talk now, Misty.
Hi. Hi, this is Misty Stevens. It's nice to see you guys. Thank you for putting on this webinar. That was helpful. I had a question. We had applied previously and we didn't make the cut because we didn't include the traditional artwork in our grant proposal. And so I've been thinking about it and I think we can do that. But I just I tried reaching out on the email and leaving a voicemail, but I guess I just need to talk to one of you and find out if this is a viable thing that we have planned.
Sounds like you'd want to talk to Brad initially.
Okay.
When did you reach out, Misty?
Well, I tried sending you an email and it bounced back at me like through the website, and so it didn't go through. So then I think I sent it to Stephanie. And then she said, give you a call. So I tried that and it just went to voicemail, but I think you were out of the office.
Yeah, I just got back, so I haven't gone through my voicemails yet. That's this afternoon. So I will be in touch.
Okay. Sounds good. It was kind of rambling. Sorry about that. I'm like, who leaves voice messages anymore?
I love a good ramble, so no worries.
Okay, good. All right. Well, I guess I'll just wait for you to call me then.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks so much for coming to the webinar, Misty. And yeah, I think those one-on-one conversations really help to nail down what should be included in the application, because Folklife can be really specific. So
Well, thank you.
thanks so much. Okay. I think that's probably it, unless you have anything else, Brad.
No, I'm looking forward to seeing, stuff from all our different cultural communities. That's what makes the job fun, and what makes Nevada so special is that we're such a state with such a wide swath of different cultures, whether it's ethnicity, occupational, whatever kind of group. It's all folk arts. I always come up with, fun. This is a folk art too. And people are like, oh, really? I'm like, yeah.
Yeah, that's why it's important to have a conversation with you, right? Because you never know. It'll surprise you what might qualify. So, okay, well, thanks so much for coming, Misty, and we'll also have this on our YouTube for folks to watch online. Thank you. Have a
Yeah.
good day.